let's talk about how to apply our trig in order to find acute angle measures of a right triangle. First of all, we're going to use trig. So we should write on our paper, so, ka, toa. Basically, all of this unit, write SOHCAHTOA on your paper. Anytime you see a right triangle, write SOHCAHTOA on your paper. You might use it. So let's say we want to find angle A. From angle A, we can label all of our sides. Remember, the easiest one to label is the one that we're already pointing at across the right angle, the hypotenuse. This side right here, hypotenuse. Then we can label the other sides. Opposite from angle A is the two letters that don't have an A in it. So this is opposite. Adjacent means touching, so touching angle A, adjacent. So remember using sine, cosine, and tangent. If I write the sine of angle A, the cosine of angle A, and the tangent of angle A, it means the ratios of the sides. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite is side BC, hypotenuse side AB. BC over AB. Cosine, ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is AC, hypotenuse is AB. Tangent, toa, opposite over adjacent. Opposite is BC, adjacent AC. If I want to find the angle, I need the angle to get by itself. So if the sine of angle A is this ratio, then the measure of angle A, I'm going to get the A by itself, which means I'm going to take the sine away and I'm going to put it on the other side. But we never just put something on the other side of an equals. We have to do the inverse of it. If something is added here to get it to the other side, we subtract it. If something's multiplied to get it to the other side, we divide it. So how do we show the inverse of the sine? We put the -1. Sine to the -1 means inverse sine. And then I write what was on the other side, BC over AB. So notice what I did. I just took sine from here, moved it to the other side by taking the inverse of the other side. I like to write measure of angle A because ultimately I'm finding the measure of an angle. Let's show that for cosine and tangent. Measure of angle A is equal to, take the cosine, move it to the other side by taking the inverse cosine of the other side, AC over AB. Take the tangent, move it to the other side by taking the inverse tangent of what is on the other side, BC over AC. So, measure of angle A equals these ratios. So a couple things that we're doing here, we are using inverse trig ratios. And when we're using it, we use this when we know two sides and need an acute angle. So we have to use two sides that we know. We have to use two sides that we know. Let's take a look at how we do that. Since we're going to be typing in our calculator, it's very important that our calculator is in degree mode. What does that mean? Let's go look at our calculator and find the mode button. If we look at this list of things that's here, you can see about 4 rows down, it says radian, and next to it, it says degree. Radian is another way to measure angles. We are only measuring our angles in degree mode. So we're going to scroll down and over to highlight where it says degree and press enter. If we're not in degree mode, our answers will all be incorrect. So I'm in degree mode. Examples. Angle A is an acute angle. Use the calculator to approximate the measure of angle A. Round to the nearest degree. That's important we see how to round because sometimes it's different. So remember, I want A by itself, measure of angle A. So how do I move sine to the other side? Inverse. Inverse sine of 0.24. Now we go to our calculator after we write that. Do you see the sine button? Here's sine, cosine, and tangent. Above the sine, it says sine to the -1. So first I'm going to get out of this screen. I'm going to type second sine, sine to the -1, and then 0.24, close parentheses, enter. It says round to the nearest degree, so I look past the decimal point. It is 5 or bigger because it's 8. That makes it 14. So the measure of angle A is approximately 14 degrees. Always put degrees in your units. Always put squiggly if you round. Make sure you do those so you don't get any points taken off. This one, I want to move tangent to the other side to get A by itself. Because A is an angle, I write measure of angle A equals inverse tangent of 1.73. Go to my calculator, second tangent, 1.73. Close parentheses, enter. That's a 9. It makes that go up to a 10, which makes 59 into 60. So the measure of angle A is approximately 60 degrees. Last one. You want to try writing it on your own and come back and see how you did? Measure of angle A equals inverse cosine of 31/50. To our calculator. Let's move this down so we can see it. I can't see my calculator. Second cosine 31, I need divided by 50. Divided by 50. Close parentheses, enter. 6 makes that a 2, 52 degrees. So the measure of angle A is approximately 52 degrees. Did you get it? Now let's apply it. Find the acute angle measures in the right triangle, round to the nearest degree. I have 2 angle measures that I don't know, R and M. It doesn't matter which one I find first, I'm going to have to find both. Do you have a preference? Did you pick R like I did? Okay, now I know I'm using trig, so let's write so, ka, toa on our paper. Let's label our sides. Right angle points to hypotenuse. This side is hypotenuse. Opposite from R is the side that doesn't use an R, NM, opposite. And adjacent is the one touching R. That one is adjacent. Now, remember what we said earlier. You must use 2 sides you know. Let's write it down again. Must use 2 sides you know. So which ones do we know? 5 and 13, adjacent and hypotenuse. Not opposite. We don't know opposite. So anything with an O, get rid of it. O, get rid of it. Which one do we have to use? That's right, cosine. So now let's set it up with cosine. Cosine, the angle is R, so cosine of R equals A over H, adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent says 5, hypotenuse says 13. Now just like we did in the problems earlier, we want R by itself. So how do I do that? I move cosine to the other side by doing inverse. Measure of angle R equals inverse cosine of 5 over 13. To the calculator! Inverse cosine, second cosine, 5 divided by 13. Close parentheses, enter. Round to the nearest degree, 67 degrees. So the measure of angle R, approximately 67 degrees. There's one of them. Now I need angle M. Well, remember in a triangle what all of the angles add up to. If this angle is 67, we can find this angle without trigonometry. All the angles add up to 180, so that means these two angles have to add up to 90 degrees. So 90 minus 67, how much is that? 23. So we can say the measure of angle M is 23 degrees. You can always check your answers by doing trigonometry. Finally, take a moment to write a short summary. Use your own words to describe how to find the side of the right triangle we call the hypotenuse and the sides called opposite and adjacent in relation to an acute angle. See you in class.